to our online classroom. This is for BSc Hotel Management Catering Science students, and now we are in odd semester 2020, and this is from major subject, that is food production department. The name of this subject is International Cookery, Unit 1, Basics of Continental Cookery. In that, we are going to see the second topic, that is stocks, soups, sauces of continental. Okay, so before I begin with this class, I would like to tell you the importance of learning these soups and sauces of continental. If you come across any continental cuisine, continental restaurant or any F&B outlets, if you go through the menu card, you can see the more numbers of soups and sauces will be there in that menu card. So if you take the continental cuisine, the soups and sauces plays a major role in the dining. So that's why it's very important for us to learn the role of soups and sauces in continental cuisine. Okay, let's begin with the class. Lesson, let us talk about the role of stock here. Okay, the right hand side you can see the picture. This is the method of preparing the stock. Okay, so before that I would like to tell you what is meant by stock. Stock is a flavored and aromatic liquid. Okay, so it is known as a flavored and aromatic liquid. It's a water. Okay, here liquid means we are going to use the water to prepare this stock. So this flavor and aroma, with how we will get this flavor and aroma means it will be extracted from the vegetables and some herbs also. So in the following class we will see that. So why we are using this stock, what is the need of this stock? If you ask this question to me, the answer is which is used as a base to prepare soups and sauces. Even we can prepare some gravies, even we can cook some ingredients in the stock. So that's a major uses of stocks. Okay, so stock sometimes called bone broth. Okay, stock also sometimes called as a broth or the bone broth. Broth means what? Broth means a aromated liquid which is used to prepare some soups. Okay, this term is known as broth. It's a savory cooking liquid that forms the basis of many dishes, particularly soups, stews, and sauces. We can also prepare stews and sauces by using this stock as a base for that cuisine. Okay, so the making the stocks involves simmering. The simmering is a very important cooking method here. So with this method, by using this method, we are going to prepare the stock. This stock can be prepared by the animal bones or any meat or seafood or vegetables. In the cooking medium is like a water or wine. Okay, this is what we are going to use for preparing this stock exactly, and often for an extended period of time. Meat puva or the other aromatics may be added for more flavor. Okay, so along with some ingredients like vegetables and some meat and bones, we are going to add some other extra additional ingredients to extend the or enrich the flavor of the stock that we will explain you in the another slide. On to the next slide, that is the types of stock. Okay, types of stock. You all know there are two types of stock. So before that, I would like to tell you one important point, that is the stock contains of 4 essential parts. Okay, so first part is that major flavoring ingredient. So what kind of ingredient you are going to add, which flavor you are going to extract from that to the water, that is plays the major role, and that is a major flavoring ingredient. And next one is the cooking medium, that is the liquid, and the third is the aromatics. Aromatics are the spices which you are going to use in this, especially in the continental cuisine. You are going to use the continental spices for the aroma. And meer puva. Okay, here I would like to explain what is meer puva. Meer puva is a coarsely cut root vegetables tied in a muslin cloth. You can see in the right hand side here. So the coarsely cut root vegetables tied in a muslin cloth, and it has been immersed inside warm water, and it should start to boil. Okay, once it gets fully cooked, we should not supposed to add salt in this process. We just only boil and whole cook the vegetables or meat in that, and you have to extract the flavor of that. Once it is done, you just remove all these meer puva ingredients from that stock water. Okay, so the types of stock, first one is the white stock. White stock is clear. It's a name itself, it is a white stock. It looks very clear, and it also called as a pale liquid. It made by the simmering. Okay, mainly this white stock has been prepared by the poultry or beef or fish bones. Okay, by using these ingredients, we are preparing or we are creating that white stock. After that, brown stock. Brown stock means the exact color of that brown stock is an amber color, so it is also known as the amber stock or amber liquid. It is made by the first browning or roasting the poultry, beef, veal or ghee bones. Nothing but similar to the white stock. The only thing is we are adding little bit of fat or little bit of vegetable fat along with that, so we just make it a little brown, little roast. Okay, so once the ingredient get roasted, it will automatically, it will create that burnt blonde color. So that is the that gives the brown or amber color to that stock. So that is known as the brown stock. While we learn about this stock, there are another some important terms are there. We cannot ignore that. That is, that term is fume. Fume is it's not fumate. It's should pronounce as fume. Okay, the T should not supposed to be pronunciate. It should pronounce it like fume. Okay, fume is a French term. A highly flavored stock made with only with the fish bones are known as fume. Okay, so the second very important term while making the stock taking, you have to understand this, you have to learn this, that is the courte bouillon. Again, this is the French term. Don't touch the T, don't pronounce the T. The T should T sounds T will sounds like TH. Okay, it sound like that, so that also you have to touch very lightly. So courte bouillon. Okay, courte bouillon is an aromatic vegetable broth or vegetable stock, you can tell. So this term is widely used in this culinary while making the stock. Okay. Okay, now we can see the some important of uses of stock in cooking. I already mentioned you the important of making the stock. So here the three major uses for stock are: stocks are used as a base for sauces and soups that we know from the first slide. After that, this is also used as a base for stews and braisers. Okay, if you are cooking an ingredient with the help of stewing or braising, you can use the stock water instead of using a water, plain water. Okay, if you use the stock water, that ingredient will cook very easily and it will gives a enhanced flavor to that ingredient, so it will gives a very good admirable taste to the dish. So this stock is a secret of the chef, okay, while preparing any dish. Okay, then the third major is it's a cooking medium for vegetables and grains. Okay, sometimes we cook some meat or vegetables or even some cereals, grains in the with the help of this stock water. So very important uses of the stock. Okay, next we move to the soups. Okay, there are two basic kinds of soup. uh, the soups, or you all know soups are the liquid food, so there are two basic kinds of soup. One is clear and thick soup. Okay, in another term we can say thin and thick soup, like that. Okay, so first, clear soups include flavored stocks, broths and consomme, and it include soups such as chicken noodle soup and French onion soup. Okay, so while you see this these all the soups, it will looks very clear. It will looks very clear. You can see the bottom of the soup bowl by seeing from the top. Okay, so these kind of soups are known as a clear soup or thin soup. There is another type, a very well known type, that is thick soups. Thick soups include the cream and puree soups. Okay, so it's the same like a clear soup, but we are adding a cream or puree as a thickening agent. So this gives a body, a texture to the cream thick soup. Like example, I have just I would like to tell some example is biscuit or a cream. Example is for the tomato soup. Okay, for the cream of tomato soup we are adding a cream, so it becomes a thick. So it okay, so next we move to the classification of soups. Okay, so classification of soup has been classified into four divisions, that is thick soup, thin soup and cold soup and national soup or specialized soup. In this thick soup you can see cream soup by using a milk cream, addition of milk cream and preparing in the stock we can prepare these cream soups. And the velouté soups, you can make the stock of velouté stock and you can add it along with that soup, and it will known as a velouté soup. And after that the puree of any ingredient you can add along with the clear soup, so that this will makes the soups very thick. So these are known as puree soup. Okay, if you like to make a tomato puree soup, you have to add the pulp, okay, the puree of tomato, so it will gets a name like that. Then the chowder is a stock prepared from the seafood like crabs and some seafood, shellfish you can tell. So those can be added as a thickening agent in this thick soup. And biscuit also a seafood stock, it has been prepared separately and it can be added along with the soup and to make a thick soup. Okay, so if you take a thin soup, there are again two divisions, that is passed and unpassed. If you take a passed, it means the soup can be the soup is see through. Okay, you can see through the soup. The soup looks very clear, like a crystal clear, like a glass. You can see that soup. So example for this past soup is a consomme. Okay, there are many varieties of consomme soups available in the continental cuisine, like consomme julienne, consomme breton, consomme jardin. Like that, there are many more consommes are available. You can go and check in the internet. And after that, the unpassed soups looks little cloudy but not too thick like a thick soup. Okay, thin soup, it belongs to the thin soup, but it looks little cloudy than the little cloud appearance than the passed soup. So example for this is a broth, and the second example is the bouillon. Okay, so this is what the two major divisions. After we move on to the cold soups, these soups can be a thin soup or thick soup, but the condition is these soups should be served only in a cold temperature. Okay, so these soups should served only in the cold temperature. It should not supposed to be heated or reheated. It can be cooked, but it after that you have to refrigerate it, you have to make it to cool, and while you are serving you have to serve with a cold plate, cold bowl, not with the hot bowls. Okay, and the last division is the nationalized or specialized soup. If you take all the countries, each and every country like a national animal, national flower, there is also a national soup. So that is what we are going to see in the next world. Okay, so before that I would like to tell some important rules of making the soups. So stock or broth is basic ingredient, we all know, in a clear soups. Okay, so it should be a basic ingredient. You can prepare the stock or broth and use as a base to prepare a clear soup. Okay, so in this consomme is actually a rich flavorful broth or a stock that has been clarified. Okay, so consomme, if you take the clear soup, it is a clear stock water, okay, or clear broth we can use. But especially for the consomme, you have to make a manual clarification. How we can make this manual clarification means you can double filter the stock, okay, until it gets a clear view. Okay, if not, you can add some lemon drops, okay, few drops to make that liquid more clear. But the consomme soup looks very clear, like a crystal clear soup. So those are consomme soups. So it should be clear, aromatic, and emphasize the flavor of the major ingredient. Okay, so if you are adding some vegetables in that, it should have that stock should have that vegetable flavor fully, so that gives a real value to the consomme soups. So after that, cream soups are made with a thickener such as roux. Okay, for the thick soup or the cream soup, we can add some thickening agent, that is also known as thickeners, okay, such as roux. You all know roux. There are two types of roux. For the white soups you can use the white roux, and for the dark soups you can use the blonde roux or brown roux. Okay, roux is nothing but adding equal quantity of flour and butter. Okay, it will be mixed together by the heat, and after that it can be formed as a dough in a creamy texture. So this creamy texture you can add in the soups to create the to prepare the cream soups. Okay, the main flavor in cream soup should be the major ingredient. For example, in biscuit the main flavor should be the shellfish. Okay, so you should not supposed to mix the ingredients. Okay, for example, if you are making a cream of tomato soup, you have to use the stock water and the pulp of the tomato, not any other ingredient. Okay, so if you are using any other ingredient, that the names gets entirely changed. So use the same ingredients. So next point is the main difference between puree and cream soup is that cream soups are usually thickened with an added starch. Okay, so in the cream soups there will be a common starch like corn starch or any rice starch or any kind of starch, even the potato starch you can add in the uh, cream soups. Okay, but if you see the puree soups, okay, it should be thickened by the starch found in the puree main ingredient like potatoes or tomatoes. Previously I told you an example same like that. If you are preparing a tomato puree soup, you should not supposed to add the potato puree in that. Okay, you have to add only the tomato puree. So this is the main rule of preparing the cream and puree soups. After that, there are many unusual kinds of soups. I already told you, that is including a cold soups such as gazpacho. So why I'm giving this gazpacho soup as example means it's a well-known soup of the entire world, and it also the national soup of Spanish. Okay, it is an international soup and it is a national soup of Spain. Okay, so this is why I'm giving this example to you. And there are some fruit soups are there such as winter lemon, and vegetable based soups also there commonly as a cold soup. Okay, such as minestrone is another kind of a soup which can be served cold, and gumbo or borscht is another type of another is a for international soup. Okay. See some more clear about continental soups. Continental soups also show the influences of various culture and cuisines. The mixture of many countries are there in the continental soups. While the preparation are mostly healthy and made with light ingredients, more intelligent versions of the European soup are also found. Okay, so this is about the continental soups. These soups are commonly nowadays serving in all over the places like any eateries or cafes and restaurants, and are also a common household preparation. Even with the minimum ingredients and a very simple method of cooking, we can prepare the continental soup. So that's why these soups are very common. Even it is commonly used in the home preparations. Okay, in this slide, it will be very interesting to you. These are some international soups. International soups. There are very few international soups I have just shown to you. There are many more available from all the countries. Okay, we can see some soups are here. I have mentioned, I have took this from the internet. From is a Manhattan clam chowder soup from the is from a American soup. The base of this is a fish stock. Okay, so Manhattan clam chowder is a well-known American continental cuisine. Okay, then Waterloo is from Belgium. It's also a very famous and continental cuisine. And Taratar from Bulgaria. It's a okay. It's a rarely used soup. Okay, like Ajaiko from Colombia, and Bazazu from Czechoslovakia, and La Sopa de Penne is from Ecuador. Here they are using the penne pasta here, so it gets its name from that. And after that, very traditional and old and very long period, we know this as a national soup of England, that is green turtle soup. So they are using the stock water of from the turtle meat. So this is known as green turtle soup. After that, petit marmite is also another famous and well-known sauce from the France, that is petit marmite. After that, cacho from Georgia, and menuda from Mexico, and sneth from Netherlands, fufu and egusi soup Nigeria, and sinigang from Philippines, pepper pot soup from Philadelphia, and borscht from Poland, and caldo verde from Portugal, and solyanka from Russia. Kokoliki, it's also a famous national soup you can find in any menu card of the continental cuisine. It is from Scotland. And next is Lebercono del. It's a rare soup from the Germany. And Avago Lemona. This is from avocados based stock water. It's from Greece. And paprika soup is very common. It's from Hungary. And Icelandic soup supa. I'm not sure about my pronunciation, but the entire pronunciation is different. But you just try to practice this spelling. This is very important. This is from Iceland and very rarely used in the restaurants. And you all know Mulyathwani soup is our national soup of our country, India. This soup is originated in Sri Lanka, but mostly served and prepared in India. You can find any restaurant of India, any Indian restaurant, you can find this soup will be top of that menu card. That is the Mulyathwani soup. It is also have some medicinal purpose. All soups have the medicinal purpose, but these soups especially consumed for its medicinal value. Okay, so and minestrone paisane is from a pasta based soup from Italy, and miso soup is a very famous soup in the entire continental, that is from Japan. And gazpacho, I already told you, it's a cold soup from Spain. Okay, gazpacho is a very well-known soup. Even you can find any restaurant in India. After that, Nasisel Lopa is from Sweden, and Tom Yum is another common, well-known, famous soup that is from Thailand. Okay, you can see in any menu card of Indian menu card, you can see this Indian restaurant, multi-cuisine restaurant. You can see this soup, Tom Yum. Okay, so after that, Kalalu is from Trinidad and Tobago, is a small country. After that, Yaila Korbasi is from Turkey, and Lagman from Uzbekistan. These are some rare soups. And Poga from Vietnam is also another common type. So these soups are very well known in all the continental cuisine in restaurants. So you try to practice these with some at least 10 important soups. You can practice and find out the exact recipe of that. And in the practical, we are going to prepare all these soups. Okay, in every menu one by one we are going to prepare. We are going to check the garnishes, and we are going to check the medium. We have to go to check the texture and taste everything. Okay, sauce. Okay, so what is meant by sauce? We all know sauce is a liquid food. Okay, we all know sauce is a liquid food. Okay, sauce can be served as an accompaniment to any main food. Okay, sauce will enrich the taste of the food. Sauce will give some medicinal value. It will enhance the medicinal value. It enhance the appearance. It enhance the texture of the food. So that's what we know so far about this. About the sauce here, they have mentioned sauce is a liquid, and it can be a cream in a cream formation or semi-solid. Okay, and it is a food that's served on or using in preparing the other foods. Okay, we can with the help of this sauce we can prepare some food, or we can serve along with that food. Okay, this is the main definition of sauce. So most sauces are normally consumed by themselves. They add a flavor to the food. It gives a moisture to the food. When you eat any food along with the sauce, once you dip inside in the sauce, and if you have it, that food will get some moisture and visual appeal to the dish. Okay, so it gives an attraction or appearance, or it may work as a garnish. It may helps us to give a good finish to the food. So sauce is a French word taken from the Latin word that is meant by salsa. Salsa meaning salted. Okay, with the food, the process of adding a salt with the ingredient in the dish is known as salsa. So this sauce, the name came from that Latin term. Next we see the importance of sauces. In the previous slide I have told you some importance, so here I would like to repeat it. That is, sauces provide more flavor to the it will not gives more flavor, it enhances the flavor of the entire dish. It gives a moisture to the food while we are eating, so it makes the food very palatable, and a contrast in the texture and the color. So this is for a good appearance. So they may also serve as a medium in which food is contained. Okay, for example, the velouté sauce of creamed chicken. Okay, so creamed chicken we can serve along with the velouté sauce, so it will give all these the above points, all these things it will add to the dish. This is what the importance. Okay, so here I would like to tell you some of the mother sauces. Okay, so there are 6 mother sauces are there. Okay, the first one is a bechamel sauce. It always served in a hot temperature. The color of that bechamel sauce is white, and the thickening agent which you are using in that is white roux, and this is the major ingredient which we are going to use in that. And along with that, the ratio is also mentioned here: butter, flour, and we have to use the fresh milk in it. After that, the velouté sauce is from hot. Okay, velouté is from hot. We have to serve with the hot, and the actual color of that velouté sauce should be in a blonde color, not a brown color. It's like a blonde color. It is also known as blonde roux. Blonde roux plus yeah, this blonde color it gets from this blonde roux. Okay, so the preparation method is you have to add the blonde roux with the chicken stock. Ratio is 1:1:10, and it is mainly used to serve along with the chicken dishes. Okay, the third one is an espanol sauce. Espanol sauce, this has an other name, that is as a brown sauce. Okay, espanol sauce is also known as brown sauce. It have to serve in a hot temperature along with the hot foods. Okay, so the brown roux has been added in that. So this is used for all kind of meats, and sometimes white meats also. White means the fish and poultry. Okay, these are the white meats. So we can serve this espanol sauce along with the white meats also. So there are two kinds of meat, right? White meat and red meat. White meat is poultry and fish, even the seafood we can say white meat, and red meat is beef, pork, and other kind of meat. Okay, so brown roux plus mutton, brown stock. Okay, mutton here I mentioned here is a bones of the lamb. Okay, after that, the hollandaise sauce. Hollandaise sauce should be served in a warm temperature, not in a hot temperature. Okay, because we are adding a lemon in it, lemon juice in it. So lemon juice, once it gets cooked, it will lose its flavor. So it should not supposed to do this with a hot preparation. We have to do in a warm preparation. The actual color of this hollandaise sauce is an yellow color, and this sauce is prepared by the method called known as emulsion method. Okay, so next is the emulsion method, is mixture of various ingredients in a various state. Example, if you are mixing oil and water. Okay, oil and water are in a different state, you cannot easily mix it up, but with the rapid beating in a one point you can make something, some collaboration between that oil and water. So the process of this is known as emulsion. So by the emulsion method we can prepare this hollandaise sauce. After that we see about the tomato sauce. Tomato sauce should be served along with the hot foods. Nowadays these foods are serving, sauces are serving along with the warm food also, but commercial, I'm not speaking about the commercial uses of this, I'm just speaking the actual rule, what it has been, what it is, what the purpose of it made culinary. That's what we are going to see here. So the color of this tomato sauce is a red sauce. So the tomato is from puree or floss. Okay, the thickening agent here we are using for the tomato sauce is we are using a puree of the tomato. Sometimes we add some flours to thicken that sauce. Okay, so tomatoes, garlic, and bay leaf for the basic ingredient to prepare this tomato sauce, and this used for the pasta dishes and fish dishes and meats. Nowadays any hot spiced baking products, they are using the tomato sauces. Okay, commercially. After that we move on to the mayonnaise sauce, is a sixth type of a mother sauce. So it has to be served as a cold sauce in a cold temperature. It is also called as a cold sauce. Okay, if they ask, if any question rises, what is the cold sauce in mother sauce, you have to say mayonnaise is the cold sauce of mother sauce. Okay, so it is also prepared by the method of emulsion method. So the ingredient here using in this mayonnaise sauce is egg yolk, mustard powder, along with the salt and sugar and salad oil plus lemon juice. Here you have to very careful while preparing this, because it may create some crumble, it may create some a solid texture while you are adding a mustard powder. If it become curdle. Okay, so very carefully you have to prepare that. So in our practical we can practice this, how to prepare the mayonnaise sauce. So these are right hand side I can show you the bechamel, espanol, and tomate, and hollandaise, and velouté. So these are the actual colors of that sauces. You can see here, even in the picture also, these are the actual colors. Next is the unique sauce, that is a cold sauce. These sauces are prepared by in a bowl only, along with the rapid beating with the help of the whisk. Okay, this is the kitchen utensil known as whisk, and a kitchen bowl. It's a glass bowl. With the help of these two kitchen equipment, we have by the manually or by help of the mechanical use you can prepare, but we should not supposed to cook these. Okay, so some of the cold sauces available in the entire world, I'm just showing you here, but this is not in your syllabus. Just for an extra additional understanding, I'm just showing you. In that you can see all where the names. Okay, all cold sauce terms of countries. Okay, these are the cold sauces widely used in all the countries. You can see in India we are using a chutney as a cold sauce. Okay, okay, so you can tell we are using some ingredients were cooked and we are using that in chutney, but here the actual term of chutney is the mixture of a spicy condiment of Indian origin that contains fruits. You can use fruits, some fruits or vegetables, and peppers, onions, spices, vinegar, and sugar in it. So this is known as the actual term of the chutney. Okay, you can see the other terms also here, like harissa, hummus also there, pesto is also there. So you can, just for your understanding, I'm sharing this. So these sauces are normally served along with some main food, so the guest used to dip in it or touch. Okay, so cold sauces of continental. If you concentrate only the cold sauces of continental, these are some common sauces of continental. Here you can see classic tahini, and here you can see cashew curry, creamy lemon garlic, and avocado lime, and cheesy buffalo, spicy chimichurri. These are the very well-known cold sauces of continental. After that, here there are some traditional common type. These are honey mustard and chipotle aioli, avocado ranch, yum yum sauce, and marinara is the also the other type of continental cold sauces. Okay, so in our practical session we will see how to prepare these sauces and how to store it, how to present it, how to serve to the guests. These are the things we will see in our practical class. So we are now at the end of the topic 2, that is soup, stocks, and sauces. So I would like to give you some assignment to understand your outcome from this topic. So write down the recipes of any 5 international soups and submit to your class teacher. So you take a paper and just browse through your Google and just select any 5 national soup of any country and just find out the actual recipe and presentation method of that, and just write in a paper and make a photo, take a photo of that, and just send by a WhatsApp or email to your class teacher. And the second assignment is write down any 10 derivative sauces of tomato. I have told you the type 5 6 types of mother sauces. Okay, each and every type of that sauce, each and every sauce, it having hundreds of derivative sauces. Example, if you take a tomato sauce, okay, here you write only the tomato sauce. Okay, you just give what any 10 derivative sauce of tomato sauce. Okay, and its uses in food service, and with suitable example. How you have to write means you have to first write the name of the sauce. Okay, Creole is the derivative of a tomato sauce. Okay, it has to serve along with the shrimp dishes. Okay, so below that you have to write the preparation method of that Creole sauce. So only for the 10 sauces you have to write, and you have to submit to your class teacher as a second assignment. So there are two assignments. The first one is you have to write down the recipes of 5 international soups and submit your class teacher, and second is 10 derivative sauces of tomato sauce. Okay, so these are the two so now we came to the end of this topic. If you have any doubts, you can send a message by WhatsApp group, or you can send an email, or you can send a text message, or you straight away you can call to your class teacher or to me to clarify your doubts. So soon we see in the topic 3. Okay, thank you.